Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say that this is very shocking news, to be honest with you, because let's be real, man. Anybody who's been playing Pokemon for the last few years has started to notice that there's been a couple of changes being made to characters, especially the human characters. Overall, they just become a little more androgynous looking. They're not so feminine anymore. Every character essentially looks like a boy, just one has a wig and one doesn't. It starts to become very obvious that there's certain influences that are being made, and now we know why. So apparently, while Japan begins to reject ESG investments, the Pokemon Company International posts jobs listing for Director of DEI and Social Responsibility.
Pikachu, get in the bowl now. Huh?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Pokemon Company, the company that is aimed towards games for kids, essentially, is trying to hire a DEI and social responsibility person. Why? Because reasons, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, it says, in sadly confirming that the heralds behind the beloved video game franchise are not among the many Japanese individuals who have found themselves rejecting environmental, social, and governance-based investment sensibilities, a newly posted job listing has revealed that the Pokemon Company International is now seeking a new director of diversity, equity, and inclusion and social responsibility. So it used to be diversity, equity, inclusion. Now they're throwing in social responsibility to this whole nonsense. I mean, after a while, you got to realize, first off, it's probably going to be a black person, most likely, a black female on top of that. They're not going to hire anyone else, I doubt. And if they do, I think that'll be hilarious. But it's going to be one of those things where this person is going to get paid a lot of money to just make everybody else unhappy, right? Nobody likes these people who work in HR. Nobody likes these people who work for like diversity officers and whatnot. Nobody likes them because they're the fun police, right? They're the people who just go around and they tell you how bad of a person you are and how they make no mistakes, even though they're probably some of the worst people in the company, but nobody wants to talk about it because they're the diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. They could do no wrong. It says, per the listing itself, the eventual hire for this position will be tasked with facilitating and promoting the Pokemon Company International's, the U.S. subsidiary of the larger Japan-based The Pokemon Company, global culture of innovation, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. It says that this role will partner with the diversity, equity, and inclusion and social responsibility team to build diversity, equity, and inclusion and social responsibility initiatives and programs to influence employee engagement, talent acquisition, talent management, charitable community engagement, and marketplace opportunities across our global team to engage and retain talent and foster relationships in local and global communities. So they want to force this stuff on the employees that work for the Pokemon Company, and we see this with many different companies out there, right? Many different organizations. If you guys ever worked for retail in the last 5-10 years, you'll realize that you have to take all these kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion courses that nobody wants to take, that everybody wants to just laugh at, but they can never feel like they can because they're going to be surrounded by a whole bunch of liberals that agree with everything that's being told in these diversity, equity, and inclusion courses. These are mind control courses. These are indoctrination courses. They're meant to try to sway the social mindset of the employees that get hired. They're basically like, hey, you're going to bend the will to what we're saying. Otherwise, you're probably not going to have a job for too long. It says this role will ensure that the core elements of TPCI culture are well-defined and ever-present to employees, highlighting engagement as an essential component to support a positive, diverse, inclusive, innovative, and high-achieving environment. This position will report to the Vice President and Chief, oh my God, is that a real position? Are you serious? Vice President and Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. Oh my God. Can you imagine how much money this person gets paid to do nothing? This is the fakest job I've ever heard of in my life. Lead the DEI SR team and will partner with stakeholders across the organization and operate as an internal business consultant. In addition to these standard position duties, the eventual hire will also find themselves responsible for driving alignment of DEI goals with business strategy for both internal employees, external fans, and the communities we serve. In other words, making sure that DEI remains a focus of not just TPCI's own operations, but their approach to interacting with players and fans. So, ladies and gentlemen, not only do they want to indoctrinate their employees and force their employees to take all these DEI courses, social engagement courses, all this stuff, But they're coming after you. Yes, they're coming after the fans, ladies and gentlemen. They're making sure that they get those kids young, if you catch my drift. They want to make sure that this DEI stuff is pushed in these very, very, very young people games. They're trying to make sure that kids grow up with this stuff, because that way, if they grow up with it, there is a higher chance they grow up to be mental victims for the rest of their life. There's a higher chance they grow up to be your average, insane leftist liberal that currently is a minority, but they're trying to make it a majority by doing these indoctrination courses. Admittedly and unfortunately, such a position is not uncommon in the modern corporate landscape, which is what I said before. I know of a lot of companies like Target, Best Buy, all these companies do these DEI courses and literally force you to take it. If you don't take it, you're fired. You're let go, essentially. It's not even the first such position with TPCI, as evidenced by the job listing specification that desired director would be reporting to the company's overall Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. However, what makes this particular listing newsworthy is the fact that given how it's ostensibly posted with some level of approval from the Pokemon Company proper, it indicates that those in charge of the franchise, as noted above, have yet to join Japanese investors in chasing ESG-related funding sources, many, if not all of which, put the concept of DEI at the center of their application requirements. As reported by Bloomberg, based on information from research from Morningstar, investors pulled a total of 660 billion yen, which is about $4.5 billion, from funds last year, a total which amounted to more than 4 times the outflows of 150 billion yen in 2022. The outflow of capital from ESG funds has hammered the industry's growth. They added, according to the Morningstar report, there were no new ESG products launched between October and December of last year. So it looks like they're slowly but surely starting to pull away from that. And we need more of that. We need them to realize that this is not going to work out in your favor. If they have to use us in the West as an example of how this shit is just not going to work, use us. Use us as an example. The Japanese don't need ESG. The Japanese don't need ESG funding. They never did. They never should. They've been able to support themselves with the way they've been doing things for I don't even know how long now. They don't need ESG. ESG is just going to benefit the people who do the funding, which is companies like BlackRock and whatnot. They are going to benefit, not the companies that actually take the funding. The companies that take the funding, the CEOs might benefit, but ultimately we see so many companies dying from taking this funding and realizing that, wow, you actually weren't able to do much with it. You actually completely destroyed your franchise with it, or you destroyed your company with it. And yeah, you got a nice little bump in money in the beginning, but now where do you're out of a job, you're out of a company, you're completely jobless, and you're on the unemployment line. So clearly, it's not working for everybody. It works for some, it doesn't work for most. So we're gonna see what happens ultimately with the Pokemon Company. But if you guys saw the changes recently to Pokemon Go, where they changed the female trainer, they got rid of her hips, they got rid of her boobs, they made it essentially look like a boy with a wig on. We basically know where this is going, ladies and gentlemen, and there's even more changes like that happening to the games and to everything else surrounding Pokemon. It's only a matter of time before people get fed up and they say, you know what, I don't actually need this as much as I thought I did anymore. I'll just stick with the old stuff. I don't really care about the new stuff. So much retro stuff is blowing up right now because of what's happening with ESG, because of what's happening with the favoring of the digital media. So much of this stuff is blowing up that honestly, I hope to see more of it, because people are sick of this and I don't want to support it in any way whatsoever. And I know a lot of people don't as well. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.
That means I'm stupid?